better health for all. So there's no sustainable development without, gender inclusion. And for the, for the food security, women play a huge role in food security. And the factors, that make up food security, both men and women have roles to play. And for the women, especially for nutrition in the household, household nutrition security is a huge role where that they play, and ensuring that there's, their families are well fed and, of course, better health for them. But when you have, gender bias, women do not have the capacity to be able to play this role appropriately, and they have no access to information, poor knowledge. They have no access to, no information to where they can, get loans and, just better help them to be economically empowered. And so this trickles down and it affects, their families, their children. So with education, there's, eradication of poverty, which is one of the SDG goals. And then with that as well, when women are better educated, even reduction in poor health, better nourishment for our children and the family, and of course, and the poverty cycle reduces child malnutrition, disease.
Thank you so much. I'm going to come to you, Ayokomi. For your work pattern practices for women in the agri system, women don't just attain efficiency, but
one again. So, on the project is this: how do we shift norms, cultural norms and attitudes, solutions achieve lasting impact? Projects will close, projects will end. What happens to our beneficiaries? And so there's something that Andrea said at the beginning, and I'm going to reference our RISE project, which we did a few years ago, working with these women are often more people to have the access amongst the men. We democratize this knowledge, making it available for them, using as one of the driving, it do the training. So first of all, we developed videos. So once the trainings are over, we reinforce, I said before, I believe it was Aisha, that 30%, but even that data is even higher, because we said one has come across them. Audio's restriction as a group, we were able to achieve that. So we used the audio story. When it also came to, and we found out that was also an issue, because in the truth of the matter is that once you buy equipment, or let them simple processing equipment for groundnut oil, for rice and handling.
This is interesting that you have adoption for women. I know you mentioned influencing using social norms and groups. Maybe that's why they're able to listen to the audiobook. Are there any other strategies?
So one thing that we do when we are going in, so it's not technology, it's really a strategy. It's what we call gender integration training for both men and women. And the goal of gender integration training is, one, we tell the women that, you see, these roles that you normally we think that they are male, so the woman cooks, the man works. It doesn't have to be like that. You can also be involved economically to support your husband. Task or support of your wife, inclusion within a household and within a community.
Thank you so much. Please, can you appreciate, sorry, Ayokomi. Thank you so much. Accountability framework is that actually gives them and monitor them.
Thank you very much. Another excellent question. And I think I want to use the opportunity also to be a little bit self-critical, right? And accountability mechanisms. Every quarter can reach the women that we were are managers of SMEs that we support as agribusinesses. That women have specifically from these interventions, and even more challenging, the empowerment part. So when we're aiming to be gender transformative, so meaning that we're also trying to address the underlying norms that it becomes very difficult. So I think that's an area where we are also still on a learning journey, where when it's not just about measure the happy for anyone also in the room to come back to me after the session and say, look, this is what we're doing. I've been talking a little bit to my colleagues about tailored financial products for the agriculture sector, credits than men beyond.
Thank you so much, Rhodesia. Please, can we appreciate Rhodesia for so much, Rhodesia? Please, can we appreciate Rhodesia for that fantastic contribution? I'm being told that we have a guest who just walked in.
At scale to be able to address the
And I know you run a radio, a TV show. Beg your pardon. We don't
And actually,
that needs a lot of education and sensitization and gender inclusivity in their practices. Actually, have upheld traditional rules and belief. How have you? The question is how or what. Sorry, and I break those barriers to ensure that they are well adopted, particularly technology.
So one thing that a project is that we must do gender analysis. We must do that analysis and assessment. And what that helps us to do is helps us, one, identify who are identify has been accepted, where are their doubts, and so on and so forth. So we first do that. One thing that has also worked, and I mentioned it before, is gender integration training. That is the first training we do. The gender integration training, trying to shift, like again, I told you, I said it, the question always in TechnoServe is how do we shift cultural norms and attitudes in a way that they achieve lasting impact. So the gender integration training is very key. And it's delivered both to the men and to the women in groups. Again, the group culture is very key. It's very key in terms of adoption, because if you can get one person within the group to adopt, the group approach is.
Thank you.
And then final communities that to a certain extent we've identified are really, they are open-minded. So they serve as our champions within the communities. They aggregate the women for when it's time for training. They provide, and so they are able to provide first-level support to the women. And so during the training, when the women are being trained, the gender champions are also there with them. So that also gives a sense of confidence to the men. And finally, stakeholder engagement. Very key is the community heads. They are like gods, so to speak, in those communities. They listen to them. And so once we're able to get their buy-in, they will continue. And once we get their buy-in consistently, so they also are part of the training, they also act as ambassadors on women.
Thank you so much, Ayokomi. This particularly to promote gender inclusive practice.
One thing that we have consistently done across our projects is also introduced income diversification to mitigate economic and environmental shocks. So that's one processing, but what else can they do? Yeah. Right? Because where we had flooding, so 2-3 years ago, 2009, lost their, but they were also doing something else.
Thank you.
Added to that is insurance.
Okay. Thank you so much. Please, can you celebrate Ayokomi? Antonia, your final word.
Okay, so I'll take it from the talent perspective.
Yeah.
And for organizations that are looking to embed, also to see that the gender inclusiveness is not a burden. It has to be included, integrated with your strategy from the beginning. Ayokomi had mentioned getting the buy-in of the leaders there, and also we have male champions. You should also bring that to the boardroom, bring that to your organization. The leadership has to have that buy-in. And we have to have male gender champions, and then participation at the grassroots level, even within the organization as regards building up your policies, and then also ensure that there's a fair playing ground and equal opportunities for all gender, especially with your compensation and benefits. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Please, can we appreciate Antonia? Jamila, any final word?
So just quickly, I think for women must be involved at every point in the decision-making process. And like she mentioned, stakeholder engagement is so key. They have to be able to buy into and to also really invest in understanding the cultural barriers, what stops women from being able to participate, understanding that is so key before anything, intervention is done. We really have to understand what is stopping this, what are the barriers. I think that understanding is so key.
Thank you so much, Jamila. Over to you, Rudija, final word.
Yes, the final word. I think a lot of good ideas have been put forward. One additional element that I would like to highlight that I feel very passionate about is about leadership of women in agricultural policy and decision making. Yeah. So ensuring that women are at the table when budget decisions are made in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Making sure that women are involved also, for example, in advising our vice president or ministers. So I think build that leadership capacity.
Thank you, Rudija.
Also been put forward. I think I'll speak from a perspective of a program manager. I would say for people looking to support women, young women, it's very important to understand the unique persona of your target program participants.
Yeah.
Because the barriers that young women face may not actually be faced by an older woman or a young woman in a rural location.
Intersectionality.
Quite different from that of someone in an urban or peri-urban location. Understanding that is very critical to being able to then create bespoke programming that addresses the kind of unique barriers that they each face. A second point I'll put forward would be understand the role of the gatekeepers and the sponsors that enable both access and sustainability of any interventions. That is the 2 points I'll just drop here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Jamila Lawal, nutrition specialist. Jamila Lawal Enterprises Limited. Thank you so much for joining. And finally, our panelists.